My name is Simon Galperin. I'm 29 years old, and my problem is that I have $235,000 worth of student debt from my public education that I see no way of ever paying off. This was the first year, last year, that I've made $65,000 in a year. The year before that, I made 27. I pay $35 a month.
And how does that make you feel, $35 a month?
My goal is to pay $35 a month until I die. If I began to think about what does it look like to pay down $235,000 in debt, I need to make decisions about my life right now. So to me, that means building a life for myself that doesn't focus on paying down my debt. I believe that if I chase an income, I'm not gonna live a life that I think is worth living for me. I am really oriented around mission and making sure that my work has a positive impact. I'm not interested in seeking more income for the sake of seeking more income. And I am taking back my power, and I will not participate in that system. My goal is not paying off debt to some company whose CEO can buy himself a private golf course. My goal is to change the world, leave it better than I found it. Chasing income is not the way to do that. What is the benefit of me paying an extra $500 a month? I want to make my life today, not worry about what my life is going to look like 40 years from now.
All right, we're going to go ahead and stop it right there. There is a surprise ending to Simon's story, but that will come after my commentary. So welcome. There is no quiet room this evening, people, because it is a news story from Money Magazine, which of course you can see inside the description box. I will provide the link to the full interview, as I did cut down to the interview the parts that I thought were most important. All right, really quickly, if you were not online with us yesterday, I uploaded a very fascinating story. I thought it's from Newsweek magazine. It's about a father who has student loan debt until he is 85 years old. So that is going to be linked at the bottom. He's unemployed. He has bad health. And basically, he's in a real predicament because he's in his 60s. And he's looking at 25 years of student loan debt that he cannot afford. So that will be linked at the end. All right, people. So I'm so glad you are here. All right. So Simon, the person that is being interviewed on this Money Magazine report, I took a bit of time and did something that is unusual, and I broke down almost word for word every sentence that he said, just about every sentence, all right? And I typed it out so it would be easy for you guys to follow, okay? Because I want to make it comfortable for you. So we are going to go through piece by piece, or I am. And as I'm going through this, okay, I want you to be thinking to yourself, okay? Is Simon a victim of his own ego? Is he a victim of the student loan system, or is he a victim of something else? And maybe he's not even a victim at all. Okay. So that's up for you to decide. Please feel free to banter about it amongst yourselves in the comment section. Starts out by saying his goal is to pay $35 a month until he dies. Meanwhile, his parents, who are immigrants, remember I cut down part of it, okay? His parents, who are immigrants, are paying $600 a month towards his loan. Now, I am unclear, and they didn't make it really clear, if the $600 that the parents are paying is part of the 235,000 that he has. I'm going to assume it is, because with the 235 choke $1,000 bill, if it is running on income based, it makes sense that the bill would be right around $650 a month. So I'm going with the assumption that we're not talking about a Parent Plus loan, because this is how Simon is able to pay $35 a month. Now, I have to be honest, when I first saw this, I just kind of wanted to, strangle the TV, not strangle him, because I'm not a violent person. Okay. But it's one of those, I'm kind of like, how dare you think like this? But it dawned on me, even though this video is 5 years ago, and if you follow this channel, anything that I bring up from the past is because I believe it has some relevance to our current situation. But it dawned on me that perhaps there are more Simons out there than we know. And perhaps there are more Simons out there through, whether they're victim of their own circumstance, whether they're victim of, other people giving them bad advice, whatever. I suspect that in 2025, with the economy the way it is, housing, vehicles, and everything else, just pretty much tanking over the last few years, not to mention COVID, because think about it, this was 5 years ago. So COVID was nice and active, right? I suspect there are more Simons out there than possibly ever before. It's almost that attitude of, I've tired of trying to do it for everybody else. I'm now in it for me. Even though we can argue, he's clearly a millennial, even though we can argue that they haven't put in enough time, energy, work, effort in years yet to be able to claim that, sometimes it's not always about that. So just be thinking about that. Put in the comments, all right? If you think he's a victim, or is it just, maybe it's just his own ego. So he wants to pay $35 a month until the day he dies. So this makes me wonder, well, what the bejesus that are his parents supposed to do? What are his parents struggling to do? And then I had a thought. All right. I thought to myself, is it possible that his parents, through perhaps some negligent parenting, perhaps some over, what is it? They over, is it overcompensated? When parents do too much for a child, I can't think of the exact word. Okay. But they gave him too much of everything that he wanted, because why on earth the parents are paying $600? I'm telling you, 600, that is the 235K. Because it would make sense if you were income based, your bill would be right around that 600. So son is paying $35, parents are paying 600, and it's easy. I thought at first to go, oh man, the poor parents. And I went, wait a minute, they're his parents. They're the ones who have set the bar. They're the ones who have set the standard, okay, on which the household shall run, on how money shall be seen, on how people shall be treated. And if his parents have enabled, that's the word I'm thinking of, they've enabled his attitude, his thought process, then should we really feel sorry for his parents? He can't, if the bills are in his name, and they don't ever really clarify that. I mean, for all I know, maybe these are Parent Plus loans, but it doesn't sound like it, because they interviewed him and he seems to make pretty clear it's his debt. And he does have a girlfriend also, but she's not a really big part, except just to say that, he doesn't feel like they can get married, and they've been dating 11 years. Okay. So can we really feel sorry for his parents? That's always something to throw in the comments. Do you feel bad for his parents? Somehow or another, they raised a son who believes that it is okay for the parents to pay 600, and the capable, young, hardy, able to work son pays $35. And his goal is to pay $35 until he dies. So in an indirect sense, he's saying that his parents are going to continue paying 600 until they die. And that plan may not work out, because, again, I'm assuming this is all the same 235K bill. Okay. Matter of fact, I pretty much bet a paycheck on it. If the parents stop paying the 600K a month, then who's going to pay it? So I think that parents perhaps have enabled it somewhat. Now, I've changed the color of the print because it makes it easier for me to see when the slide has changed. Okay. He says he can't think about what it looks like to pay 235K. This was 5 years ago. How many people today in 2025 are saying that? We can't think about the bill that we own, the student loan bill that we have, because it hurts too much. We can't look at it. We can't bear to call the student loan provider. I have some people, and we know this is true, some people you have not pulled up your student loan account on the computer. I know there are people that have not done it. And there are going to be people who are getting wage garnishments. They're going to go, oh my God, I had no idea it was coming. It's coming. I have to be honest, I don't think the wage garnishment's that hard to avoid. Although there may be times it's just totally unavoidable. You just can't you don't have a way to pay the bill. So they're just going to have to take it out. But short of that, I think a lot of people can avoid it. The so-called 5 million people are going to get wage garnished. Does that tell you the state of our student loan system, right? So he says he can't think about what it looks like. Aren't you impressed? I even use quote marks. Yeah, that's the English teacher in me. We must quote the things that we did not come up with. So how many people relate to that today? And by the way, he really doesn't have to think about the 235, because who's paying the bill? His parents. What a shame. He's paying 6, 12, 7, 8, 6, 4. He's paying about $9 a week towards his student loan, and his parents are paying $600 a month. This guy is paying $9 a week. Okay. And again, this is in order of the video. He says, quote, he's building a life that doesn't focus on paying down debt. You know, there is such a thing as someone who has donuts for brains. Okay. Let me read that again. He's, quote, building a life that doesn't focus on paying down debt. So my thought is, oh, great. So then what you're doing is you're building a life that focuses on running up debt. That's the only other, if you're not paying down debt or sitting still, I guess, out of debt, you're running up debt. So if we look at his words and we break them down, what he's saying is look, you know what? My life is just too important for me to have to be concerned with adult responsibilities like the debt that I ran up. Now, in all fairness, all right, because I like to come clean. I did get my 110,000 student loan, as you know, all right, and I do have to repeat it many a times, okay, because we have new people on this channel, and you are so glad you're here. All right. But my 110,000 got forgiven in 2022. Now people could say, well, clearly, Carrie, you ran up debt and you didn't care. Contraire, I disagree. I did what the law told me to do. I worked 10 years, actually 16, in a public service job, teaching middle school English, where I remain today, finishing my 19th year on Friday. I followed the law that said we will forgive your student loan because we know that your pay really sucks. We know that the education you are required to get to be able to get a master's degree, you're never going to make enough to pay it off. Not as a single school teacher. Sure, give me a husband, give me, give me some assistance and maybe I can do it. Most likely I can. Okay. But on my own, carrying the whole thing and have a place to live and save for retirement. No, you can't. So I have to politely disagree with people when they say, well, you got yours paid off and you didn't have to do anything. Are you kidding me? 16 years. And like I said, I'm finishing my 19th year. Okay. And I followed the opportunities and the law that were given to me. Simon here saying he's building a life that doesn't focus on paying down debt seems kind of backwards, because if he's going to build a life that doesn't focus on, I'm going to gnat in here, it's with the lights. If he's going to build a life that doesn't focus on paying down debt, then doesn't it make sense that he should not want to get into debt at all? If I say to you, I'm going to focus on a life that does not have me weighed down and trying to pay down debt, which is where I stand today. That is my goal. I'm now focusing on a life that does not have debt, that I need to make sure that I do not run up debt. Right? It's the logic in it. Okay. So that's what he says he's focusing. He's not focusing on paying down debt. But at the same time, he's not focusing on being debt free because he clearly runs up debt. He says, chasing income won't give him, quote, a life worth living. Let me repeat that. He says chasing income won't give him a life worth living. So he's got a girlfriend. He says that they might eventually want to get married. I'm going to assume they'd probably want to have a kid. It's just an assumption I'm making. Okay. So how are you going to support them? Now, it appears that she works. Again, she was only a snippet in the whole interview. And if she ever sees this, I'm going to tell her, woman to woman, pick someone else. There are much better men out there, even with student loan debt, that will give the debt more respect and the urgency to get rid of it than this guy. This guy, Simon, has no sense of urgency. So he says here, chasing income won't give him a life worth living. So I guess my question then is, who's supposed to support his sorry butt? Apparently his parents are helping support him. And honestly, you guys, the more I think about it, I feel less and less sorry for his parents. They've chosen to do it. Okay. It is the choice that they have made for their little boy who probably got everything he ever wanted. Because that's kind of the attitude that he comes across as though he's gotten everything he's ever wanted. That comes from the top, mom and dad. All right. So if making money, chasing income doesn't give him a life worth living, then I guess being in debt and broke does. Oh, let's take a look here. He says, quote, he won't seek income for sake of seeking income. Because remember, this is about him paying off his $235,000 debt that he refuses to do. And he's saying, look, you know what? You want me to go off and pay this debt. You want me to go and earn more money. Why? Well, I'm thinking because you got some debt you need to pay off. And he says here he won't seek income for sake of seeking income. No one's asking him to seek income for the sake of seeking income. They're asking him, hey, are you going to seek income so you can pay off the $235K debt you owe? Now, again, I understand that my viewpoint may seem a little harsh considering I got my debt forgiven. But again, let me remind the court, I fulfilled the duties for not 10 years, but 16 years to get my loan forgiven. A job that most people would absolutely never do. Even if they could get their student loan forgiven, they would not do it. I do not get the impression that Simon in this interview has done anything to deserve forgiveness, income-based payment, whatever. He's done nothing to show me that he deserves to have his loan forgiven. If Simon could do something that showed me that he had worked and toiled and he had sacrificed, he had done all these things, and that his loan should be forgiven, then I could rightfully say, you know what? He did all the requirements. Simon ain't done squat except spend his parents' money, be self-entitled, in my opinion. Okay. And don't forget, folks, again, the question is, share your thoughts in the comments. Is Simon a victim of his own ego? Is he a victim of the student loan system? Or do you think it's something else? And it's totally okay. Throw in what you think. All right. So that's the seeking income for seeking income. Isn't he just going to make a great father? If he decided, I hope this girl didn't marry him, but if she did marry him, okay, he's going to be the type of dad that's going to say, you know what, you're supposed to do all the work. And in fact, he won't even be the one going to work. And guys, I'm not kidding. There is a surprise ending to this. Okay. And those of you who know what it is, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Okay. Because there's a surprise follow-up to Simon. All right. Oh, let's see what's next. I think there are like 7 of these slides. Okay, he says, I'm taking back my power. I won't participate in that system. Does he have Fruit Loops for brains? Does he not realize when you say I'm taking back my power, I won't participate in that system? First off, there was no power to take from you that he did not voluntarily give away. And second is, I won't participate in that system. Simon, buddy, you're already in the system. You volunteered to be in the system when you took on the student loan debt. You see, here's the thing. Simon would lose debate 101 easily. I can think smarter than he is with my bunny ears on. Don't let the bunny ears fool you. There is a brain behind here, I promise, okay? So he says, I'm taking back my power. What? Taking back what power? We the people. We will not pay. Yeah, and like I've said, like little thieves in the night, they're all running to call Sally Mae or Nelnet or whoever their student loan provider is because they don't want a garnishment coming up this summer. And let me tell you something, this summer is going to be very active on this channel because, as you know, I don't teach during the summer, so do not be surprised. There will probably be a lot of double upload days. So be looking for a lot of those because there will be. Okay. Might as well entertain the masses. So when he says I'm taking back my power, I won't participate. Too little, too late, buddy. You already are participating in it. Okay. I mean, you're already in the system. You took out a student loan. See, he's the type of guy that goes in, does what he wants, and then backs out and tries to wash all responsibility. He cannot do that. He says, quote, my goal is not to pay debt that helps a CEO. Okay, it's like one of the last slides. My goal is not to pay debt that helps a CEO. How many times have I said on this channel, right here at this computer deck, I have said, do not base your financial plan on your political opinions about what's going on. Well, I'm not going to pay my student loan because Trump has never had to pay student loans. He doesn't know what it means. Why would you screw up your own family? Well, I'm not going to pay my student loan because Biden screwed us all over. And now, he said we'd get the 1020 and we didn't get. So now I'm paying nobody. And now I'm just going to default and go into a wage garnishment. Do not make your household budget revolve around the politics of the companies that you are forced to be involved with when you take steps that requires your involvement with that company. Okay. So I hope that made sense. All right. So when he says my goal is not to pay debt that helps the CEO, nobody's asking what he thinks of the CEO. What they're asking is, what are you going to do about the debt that you chose to take out? I will tell you this. So holding my student loan for 16 years, I held it from, guys, here's the thing. And I had a realization earlier today. Okay. As I was pondering in the car, I was actually thinking of live streaming, but I went, I would wait till this evening. Although I know this is not a live stream, but I thought about it. Do you know my student loan, my $110,000 is it albatross or whatever it is, that big problem that you carry around? Do you know that's only been gone for 3 years? It was forgiven in 2022, fall of 2022. So 23, 24, 25. This fall, it will only be 3 years. Yet for some weird reason, it seems so long ago, but at the same time, it seems just like yesterday. And I think anyone who's had student loans that, they've had a hard time paying off, or even if you had an easy time paying them off, it does. Once they're done and paid, it seems so far away, but yet at the same time, it seems just like yesterday. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Okay, moving on. So anyways, you got to go with the flow on this channel, folks. I love you. Okay. And then the final is, because it says here, get ready. The final quote is, my goal is to leave the world in a better place. Yeah, I'm laughing over that one too. That is his goal. His goal is to stick his parents with a $600 month loan, so he only has to pay $9 a week. The goal is not to work to create an income. God help you if you have a child. Okay. His goal is not to, figure out how to pay down his debt or anything else. His goal is to be Zen and live as one within his own mind and body. That is his goal. And that's how he's going to leave the world in a better place. Screw you, you, and you. That's kind of the impression that I get. All right, here. So we are now going to watch the ending of this. All right. We're going to watch the ending, and it's just a surprise. It's a surprise. Okay. So let me go ahead and play it.
Simon, it's good to see you. Heard you had a conversation with our friend Ramit. Has anything changed in your financial life since then?
Sure. So since my conversation with me, I've gone to half-time at the company I was previously working full-time for.
So things that were previously difficult, maybe more difficult right now?
Certainly. It's possible that I will die with debt, that I won't be able to retire because of my debt. I know that all of these things are going to happen, so I'm playing my cards.
Simon is a total donut. Just a complete donut for brains.